Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and thank you for joining me this evening on the Late One in Review, where we look at some of the top news this week. And I want to say it's Thursday, another Thursday, 13th of October. And I must say we're heading down there into the Christmas period. Christmas is right on the agenda there, and I'm sure many people are excited. I believe this is going to be one of the first Christmas that we have really had since lockdown, even though it's going to be a challenging time with a high level of inflation, the economy, and all those sort of things. But nevertheless, still, we still have to persevere. And today's another day. The key topics that I'm going to be talking about today, and the show is going to be split into different levels. And it's going to be, as you can see below, the state of the UK economy, Mental Health Awareness Week, hoping to get Miss Collette Hunter on, and also Choppa Molly songs banned in Jamaica by the Broadcasting Commission. I'm hoping to get Mr. Steve Urchin from Brand New Machine, Sean Paul's manager, Digital Chris from Jamaica Irie FM, David Chen, Khori Hyde, and Lester Gaza. Um, Supposed to come on later, looking on that topic there. So we're going to go straight into the topic of the show now with my colleague and man who is ready to run the economy and run the UK as the leaders seem to be in default. Is that correct, Mr. Anthony Francis?
Well, good evening, Sylbourne, and thanks for having me again. Yeah, well, I mean, clearly I'm not the only person who feels that the economy has been brought to its knees since the mini budget by Kwesi Kwarteng only a few weeks ago. And I think we're all now beginning to really suffer as a consequence as the markets have recognized the turmoil that's been created. And as a consequence, we're now seeing the fallout in terms of inflation and all the other things that have actually caused the markets to get spooked and for credibility to be lost in the current prime minister and chancellor in just a few short weeks of their tenureship.
Mm. I mean, it's very interesting. I mean, one would say that we're laboring this point, but it is not something that is laboring because if we don't labor it, they're going to labor it all over us. But the recent question time, it was a challenging thing because I do notice at one point the prime ministers kept asking the Keir Starmer questions, and they were all laughing. I was going, why they were laughing? And then I recognized what it was. It is your question time, not Keir Starmer question time, when she was putting it back on him. But it seemed though, whatever one political or party affiliation is, it seemed that something totally is amiss, Anthony. I mean, you've said it already, but is it like it is coming to more of a fruition? I mean, I know you're not a biased person, you're a very objective person, but since the last time we spoke, what are you seeing now, which is more evident and more clear?
Well, I think personally, what I'm seeing is sadly what I had mentioned a few weeks ago. Well, in fact, not just myself, but a number of other people who watch and comment on political events. So, when the leadership election was taking place between Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak, I think we all could see straight away the competence of Rishi Sunak in terms of being able to outline what his fiscal policies were going to be and why he was actually doing the things that he said he was going to do. And we really didn't get anything from Liz Truss. We got all of this really sort of nebulous, sort of fluffy stuff. I'm gonna cut taxes. We want to go for growth, growth, growth. But there was never any sort of real substance behind the rhetoric. And now that she's got into office, we've seen that the reason why there's no substance behind the rhetoric is because she actually doesn't know what she's doing. And it's not just me saying that, in my own opinion. I watched this evening Kenneth Clarke, David Mellor, other, previous Tory grandees who are all simply saying in amazement and shock that the Chancellor has lost credibility and Liz Truss has also pulled the party down to a position now where they're, I think, 30 or 40 points behind Labour, which is unthinkable.
Mm-hmm. I just want to pull up this video here, which I saw earlier, and if I can actually play it, and here we go.
If you had to U-turn on a major part.
The video's not playing, Sylbourne.
Everyone benefits. Is that
Can you hear it?
These are global challenges. People.
It's stopping and starting.
1 second. You could not hear it, could you?
No.
Okay. All right. No problem. I don't know what happened there. Maybe they don't want it to play. But anyway, what he was actually saying is that he's not going anywhere. Asking whether he would make a U-turn on the present policy. He's not going anywhere despite the market turbulence he admitted was caused in part by his policies. Asked if he and PM Liz Truss would still be in their job this time next month. He said absolutely 100%. He also cites up questions about whether he would U-turn on, saying our position hasn't, and he's facing growing calls from Tory MPs to rethink his tax cutting package, and discussions are underway between the Prime Minister and backbenchers about what our party can accept. I know that the 1922 committee, there was a meeting to somehow deal with any sort of impasse that may be happening. But is it the right time? And I know this question is always being put all over. Is it the right time for a general election? Because if anything happens, whatever, it's a general election. Personally speaking, there will be no confidence at all, Anthony. If they go back into it, even bringing Rishi Sunak out, it will be game over. Is it that they should stick it out? Well, you may say otherwise, but is it that they should stick it out really and let the policies work? But then you might say, and the detractors might say, and the opposition might say, well, let it play out till our doom.
Well, I think that ship has sailed now, Sylbourne. Sadly, the markets are going to determine the future for Liz Truss and for Kwasi Kwarteng. It's not for them to determine anymore. I mean, if the markets determine that the pound goes further down and we find ourselves in a situation where mortgage rates simply become unsustainable, you'll see people literally be going to the banks and trying to get their money out, like we had years ago with, I think it was, not HSBC, I forget the bank that had the run on it, Northern Rock, I think it was. And people will be taking their money out simply because they want to make sure they've got money and that the banks aren't actually going to be foreclosing on them. Because don't forget, they've already mentioned that the Bank of England have had to go in and to actually shore up the pension funds. People like me who rely on our pension funds every month to make sure we get our monthly checks. If this particular mini budget has caused a spook, making certain pension funds become insoluble, resulting in the Bank of England having to sort of buy gilts and try and shore up the financial institutions. I mean, this can't go on. And as I say, I mean, it's not for Kwasi Kwarteng or for Liz Truss to determine whether or not they're going to be in post next month or by the end of the year. It'll be the markets and it'll be the general population who will say we've had enough.
Yeah. Well, they brought up the 31st. They brought up the statement from, I think, November to the 31st as well.
They said originally it was going to be in November. Now it's going to be the 31st of October, I believe. Yeah. But to be honest, I don't think they can wait that long to actually say the things that we all know that they're going to say, which is they're going to do a reversal on a number of the cuts that they had originally brought forward. So, excuse me, to me, it's inevitable that there's going to be a U-turn. Why wait? Why not just do it now and actually just simply say, okay, we've got it wrong, we put our hands up, and then move on and try and actually get their credibility back. The longer they wait, the more their credibility is going to be shot, the more pain for the people in the UK, both in terms of pensions, both in terms of inflation rising, both in terms of confidence in the city, confidence wider internationally. I mean, it just doesn't look good for us.
Yeah. Let me just bring in Collette. Miss Hunter, can you hear us? I don't know if you can hear. Can you hear us, Miss Hunter? No, she can't hear. I think something is wrong with your mic from your side there. Uh, yeah, Anthony, I still have this issue regarding the the government at the same time going into an election. That's what I'm seeing down the road, an election. Are we saying ready for a Labour government?
Well, I don't think it's a question of are we ready for a Labour government, Sylbourne. We're ready for the government that gets elected. Ultimately, it's the people who determine who comes into power. And if the Conservative Party have exploded or imploded, should I say, and they are now no longer fit to govern because of the incompetence that we're seeing, then clearly the alternative is the opposition, and the opposition is Labour. I mean, you have to remember that we've had three prime ministers that have been imposed on the public without them voting for them. So you had Boris Johnson, then obviously he then had an election. You've had Liz Truss, where there's been no election, and Theresa May, where she then went out and did an election, but afterwards. So there's no way they can now pick another leader. The Conservatives, it would have to be a general election, and then the public will decide who they want to be our next government and our next prime minister.
Let me see if I can hear from Collette. Collette, are you there? She can't hear me. No, she can't hear. She can't hear. No voice, no volume, nothing. The thing, Anthony, is this: what positive or anything good has happened since? And for anyone out there, what positive or anything? Okay, I think they have dropped in people's bank account some £66 for their electric.
Well, I think you have to take it with a pinch of salt. I think all that they've done is they've capped the rate that was going to go up by the energy companies from, I think, 2.5 to something like 3,500. They've capped it at 2.5. But it doesn't mean that the usage that you have is going to go away. So if you use a lot of energy, your bill isn't going to be capped at 2,500. That's just the energy cap that they're saying they brought in. You're still going to pay for what you use. So yes, you may get something back that may help you along the way. But let's face it, £50 or £60 if you're spending £200 or £300 on your heating each month isn't really going to be a big saving. And also, don't forget as well, Sylbourne, we're not talking about heating. We're talking about food prices. They've all gone up. It's the whole cost of living.
Well, it's interesting. Let me just say, Collette, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, hi. How are you doing, Collette?
Hello, everyone.
Collette, meet Anthony Francis, Anthony Collette Hunter.
Hello.
Collette, I don't know if you heard briefly what we were talking about a while ago, was that in light of the Chancellor and the Prime Minister, do you think they're doing a good job, or do you think they need to go? Anthony think they need to pack their bags and go from day one.
You know something? I'm never the one for politics, because I think everyone always want to come and promise and promise and promise, and there's always a situation when it comes to make the delivery. There's always some form of drama, something always happens. So I am just not the one to go into the politics at all. I stay far from it as far as I can possibly stay.
Okay, well, we just mentioned a while ago, and Anthony just said a while ago, that the cost of living, we were talking about the whole budget and the 45p, and how the Prime Minister making U-turn, and they're going to make another statement. And I was mentioning about the £66 that people are getting into their bank account, or their electric bills, whether online or whatever. And I said, isn't that a good thing? But Anthony also brought up that there's food, because I went to a supermarket the other day, and there was an orange juice I used to have for 55p, and Anthony, it was 85 pence.
Yes.
And then the guy was in the supermarket, which I know, he said, you haven't seen anything else. Go and look at the cooking oil. He said, go and look at the cooking oil. It was at 110. And he said, come back and talk to me. It was around £2.10 or 1.9 something.
Significantly. The prices for food is like skyrocketed. And it's very obvious, to the customers as well. They have noted it as well. And what can they do? They have to eat. you
But
know.
but at the end of the day, Colette, at the end of the day, if push comes to shove, you're going to be in this country, and an election may be called. You will have to put on a political hat in some respect, isn't it? To make
But
a vote. You don't have to say who you're going to vote for, but I mean, you'll have to make a decision politically.
but what would you promise that you will, fulfill, apart from the fact that if we had a lot of land and we can say let's go farm, that's one scenario if this was a Jamaica situation. But we're in the UK where, the weather is not, sustainable to do farming, So what would you say to the people to let them feel, secure to say, yes, there is hope? Do you see any form of hope as it relates to this?
I put that to Anthony. He's the master. Anthony, any
Well,
hope?
Well, there's always hope. I don't think, I think, if we take the view that there is never hope, then obviously we've already given up. So for me, yes, we're in a really bad situation right now politically, but it doesn't mean that things won't get better in the future. But Collette is right. As a country, sadly, we don't seem to have too much in terms of manufacturing going on. In fact, to be honest, that's the reason why we find ourselves in so many problems. I mean, we don't have our own energy source. We don't have our own sort of manufacturing base anymore. We've sold all these things off, or we've privatized them. So we're so reliant on outside interests to give us the things that we need that we become very dependent. So, for example, my energy bill. You talked about energy. My energy is supplied by EDF. Now, EDF is a French company. In France, EDF haven't put the prices up to the same sort of levels that they put them up here in the UK. Why? Because over here, EDF are actually providing us with the service because the service is privatized. Over there, the French population would go mad if their own energy supply put price up by 30 or 40%. So this is our own making by actually, getting rid of all of our sort of fundamentals and not having the sort of infrastructure and manufacturing base that we can rely on our own efforts.
Well, I brought in Mr. Blogging God from Netherlands, Lester Gayle, and Lester sent me a message and saying, do we still have our trust in Liz? Is that right, Lester?
Yes.
So don't you trust our Prime Minister? I mean,
it is early days. Sorry, evening and most beautiful panel.
Yes.
But it's still early days, and we still have to give the new PM an opportunity to prove herself and her team. And so it will be kind of presumptuous to say you don't trust, you trust, you like, you don't like, because we need to see more. Maybe after the first 90 days or 120 days, you can form a great opinion to say, not doing so well.
Anthony, you hear that? 100 days?
Yeah, I know. Originally, I did. Excuse me. I think originally I did say until Christmas. The problem is that Liz Truss, her position isn't going to be determined by Liz Truss. It's going to be determined by the markets. Yeah. And sadly, we've already seen what the markets have decided, that they don't want her anymore. They don't want her. They definitely don't want the Chancellor. And you saying about we should wait 90 days. If people's mortgage rates go up to 6%, 7%, 8%, they're not going to wait. That's right? It's just not going to happen. I mean, you just mentioned about cost of living. Also, big skyrocket, which they are also, and people can't afford to turn on their heating because they've got the choice between heating and food. People just aren't going to accept that in this country. So, forget the 90 days or 100 days that they've got. To be honest, they've got, I would say, until either the end of the month or by the end of November, where either they're going to be kicked out or there'll be a general election.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I'm going to switch slightly. Lester is here to carry on over into another topic. And I wanted Collette to speak about, it was Mental Health Awareness Week this week. I think in light of what is happening, a lot of pressure is on people mentally, isn't it, Collette?
Yes. And, more so the young people. When you look on the statistic from 2018, between 18 and 24 young people, they're all stressed out. 49% of the population you're talking about, stressed out, trying to compare with their friends and trying to compare with survival. I've been to a job fair last week and there were over 10 different entities trying to recruit young people. And how many young people was there? Four.
Mm.
Four young people.
This is where, Colette?
This was at Millward,
That's
the
in the
football stadium.
UK. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, four-person show up.
Well,
And this was
that is universal, because the same problem we're having here in the Netherlands, also in Germany, also in Jamaica, we're having the same issue.
challenges.
And
Yes.
this Instagram era is also creating a huge mental health among young people, because there's a perceived way of living that young persons have to live now, or to be seen or to be accepted, and many persons have gone to do illicit activities to try
Mhm.
to get that idea, and they don't understand that many things that they see on Instagram is a production.
Mm.
It's not real, it's a production, and they want to emulate that. So
So
it's a huge thing.
So where do we go from here? So we already know this. We have been trying. I mean, we're in school as we speak. I work with the council here in London and with the violence reduction unit, and we have been going into the schools and we've been doing workshops. I do the emotional well-being part of it, while the violence reduction team talk about county line, peer pressure, grooming. We have Safer London, who came on board at one point. We also had the
Yeah.
Met Police youth engagement team that comes in. And we find that the early intervention process is what probably one of the first stage that we have to try and hold on to right now, the young minds that are coming up,
Yeah.
because they are the one who are seeing what the older folks are doing, and they, easily adapt to that, format of displaying behavior and thinking being in a gang or being
Yeah.
cool or being bullying is cool. So by talking to them, connecting with them, doing role playing exercises and getting them to work out scenarios, that's what we're trying to do. And we know we can't save everybody, but the ones that we've actually connected with, we get positive feedbacks and the school appreciate what we've been doing. But it's a journey that's supposed to be on the map all over the world if we can possibly do this with the young ones coming up. We know that we look after the young ones at the youth center, we get funding and all of that to give them the drama classes, the drumming, the singing, the dancing. But we have to think about when they go home. When they open that door, we don't know what these kids are going home to. While we're molding them, they may be going home to a parent that they have to care for. At one of my events, a little 12-year-old say, "Can I bring some food home to my mom?" You know what I mean? And as a parent, it just triggers certain passion in me to know what we can do more as a community. There's a famous saying that it takes a village to raise a child, and I think we should try to go into that, you know, pattern right now, because we have to try and save each other. I know the politicians are there and their hands are tied trying to do a delivery, but it boils down to us knowing our neighbors and just connecting, because the next second door belongs to anyone. When you look around and see what's going on with the young people,
And
the
if I,
mental
yeah,
is
yeah.
all over the place.
And if I can just add in before I ask what to Anthony is that just to let you know, Collette, who's hail from Jamaica, from Ochurius, Leicester. Is it Ochurius, Collette? Straight out of Ochi. He has this issue when he mentioned Ochurius.
Oh, does he?
Her son was fatally was one of those victims who was fatally stabbed and killed in the UK a few years ago, and so she's been out there on the front line with young people as well. College and the sort of work that you're doing now, you know, from passing.
Yeah, we actually launched the visual awareness campaign in London in 2014. Because when I came here in 2009, I had no idea about what's going on in London, county line, grooming. And so I was sending my kids, so go make friends, the Jamaican love, who even they're going to bring any friends home today, that kind of thing. And it was after settling in, I realized that there was a lot of violence going on. And I said to my son, James, before I lost him, you realize that there's a lot of gang attacks and people randomly being killed, but there's nothing happening in the community. You get up the next day, walk out, and it seems like everybody going to McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, the community is da-di-da-do. Not knowing that I would have lost James to actually start this. Before his funeral, I was so determined that I literally, launch this organization before his funeral, and I start campaigning for visual awareness. I get the young people to get the posters up in the community. I had them lit at nights with colorful messages. And it's been ongoing for the past 8 years, because I feel that we cannot stop knife crime. It won't go away. But what we can do, we can sensitize each other. We can have a visual awareness. They have a petition going now with, to Sadiq Khan to give us 1 minute 1 minute each year to recognize organization, not just like myself, but all the different organization that has rallied up. I've never seen London so much sharing together, because when I came here, I didn't see any of this happening. And when I started and I put my neck out there, I see so many now joining and coming out in the community to talk to young people and get them engaged as well. So Sadiq, I'm hoping, if you're not listening, but hope somebody would tell you that you can give my petition a chance. So give us 1 minute each year so we can recognize the organizations who are working endlessly, and also remember the victims. They wake up every day as the sun rises and as the sun sets. They have to settle in and they have to wake up another day and go through their pain. So it's just a minute to recognize what we're doing.
Can I, before we finish, Anthony, can you just come in here in regards to mental health awareness and your perspective as well?
Yeah, sure. Well, my wife actually was, until she took retirement, was a mental health nurse. So she's fully aware of some of the issues and challenges that affect not only young people but also adults in that sort of situation. And obviously, the situation is quite tragic, I think, and unless you work in it, you don't really understand and appreciate the challenges, the sorts of people who come in who, sometimes through ignorance, sometimes through other routes, have got themselves in a situation where they now find themselves, they get sectioned or whatever it might be, even through things as social, people say about, people, like to smoke or like to take social recreational drugs, these sort of things. These are also the type of things that sadly bring patients into mental health situations where they find themselves, becoming psychotic and all the rest of it. So there are a number of challenges for people who are both patients and also for the practitioners, the doctors and the nurses who look after the individuals. So it's a very important cause to recognise and to make people aware of mental health, and not just the sort of normal mental health problems that people might recognise in terms of movies, schizophrenia and things like this. We're talking about other mental health issues like anxiety and depression. These are other things that perhaps people don't really appreciate as being mental health problems, and sometimes they just sort of get batted away. But these are also mental health problems that do affect a lot of young people today through the sort of choices that they make. It's already been mentioned through social media and those sorts of things, trying to keep up with the Joneses and following on their peer pressure, which is unfortunately sad. But these are the sorts of things that also create the sort of mental health issues for young people.
And one other thing as well, Anthony, is because I've managed to do a bit of, I went back to college. I've level 3 in counseling and I've level 2 in mental health awareness as well. And I find that fetal intoxication also play a major role in our young people's behavior. Like when the mom is pregnant and she drinks or she smokes, this get to the baby as well. And these child are then brought up into society with different levels of mental health. For instance, they'll be in school, they can't settle in, they get thrown out of school because of their impulsive behavior, because of anger issue of no cause of their own. So we meet. I have a group. We meet once a month as well, and we deal with trauma, we deal with mental health, and we bring different speakers in to talk about the different areas that affect the community, not just the young men, but where is this coming from? Is this coming from birth? Is it coming from parenting? You can have a child, as I say, that they lock that love and they get that love somewhere else. They're probably stressed. They don't have a parent that would sit with them to understand, have that non-judgmental attitude, have that empathy. If your child come home not feeling good, you could sit with your child. What's going on? A lot of parents don't have the skill to be parents. I once said that some parents should actually get a certification to have a child, because having a child is a mental journey to know what you're going to undertake. It's not just your life. You're talking about bringing another person, in the know, where that child going to have to learn to live with their pressure, live with their stress, and need that support that you probably can't give. And so you have these young people going off and getting involved mentally, doing stuff that probably get them auctioned, or locked away. So
What would you say? Let's each one of us are some of maybe the coping mechanism for young people. We have had the case recently of the young girl who killed herself, and her family is putting pressure on social media platforms to do these things to sort of help them out. You got those three men actually who are walking because their children committed suicide. I don't know directly, but it has to do with the pressure what Lester was even alluding to on social media, because people are measuring themselves against some people which are not real. They're measuring the reality against people who are not real.
yeah.
Well, Lester, what would you say are maybe a couple coping mechanism that young people need to put into practice, or
Be-
parents?
bef-
Yeah.
Well, it's a holistic approach. As
Mm.
a parent, I have two young adults as children, two 24-year-olds, and so they're in the internet age, they're in the Instagram and social media age. Um, what I think is important is the tenets of parenting.
Mm.
That's foremost. So even if the family is split, each parent has to play that parent role. A
Yeah.
lot of times we deflect to the iPad, the laptop. You know, when we look at the fundamentals that we were raised on, when we look at how our grandmothers and grandfathers and great grandmothers, there are certain fundamental core things that kept us whole, kept us wholesome, kept us out of trouble, kept us, in a particular way. We can take some of these things and tweak them, right, and apply them. Also, ho- how we parent is that a lot of parents want to be hip, want to be young, want to be so the children are bombarded. We have to control the images that are is projected in our homes, that are projected around. So even if the child goes to a school and or has friends like this, because the foundation principles are grounded in that child, it is more difficult for that child to fall into that trap. And constant reinforcement, sometimes you have to help choose the friends for your children, because they are young and they want to be a part of the hip crowd. Sometimes you have to, it may be unpopular, but you
Mm.
have to really parent, monitor the devices, put certain apps on the devices that if they go onto certain sites, right, it sends an alarm, it kicks them off of it. It has to be constant policing, constant love, constant reinforcement. You cannot let a device or society parent your child. You can't let entertainers or entertainment parent your child. You also have to do things with the child. Sometimes we have to work. We really have to work hard, work long hours. But guess what? We're sacrificing our children. So we
Mm.
we have to be present. If you look at the dynamics of, let's say, young people who commit murder, young people who are in prisons, when you look at the family dynamic, there's a breakdown in the family dynamic.
Mm.
Always, you
Yeah.
know. So like in not South Carolina. I try to remember the state. Where Mississippi is. I can't remember. But when you for 2019 or 2018, when you look at all the murders that were committed,
Yeah.
the murderers all were single parent home. They didn't have any fathers in their life. And
Yeah.
the one that got murdered was the same thing.
Yes.
So we have to look at the dynamics of the
Yeah.
community. The community
Okay.
is no longer how it
Yeah.
used to be, but we have to create that community within
Yeah.
our homes, within our society to have a better impact.
Okay, let me go to Anthony and then go to, because I'm going to wrap up this section and go on to the bit about the Broadcasting Commission in Jamaica blocking, stopping Choppa music and Molly and music questions. So I've got a few persons who are waiting to come on, but I want to close off this section. Anthony, what would you say are a couple of key coping mechanisms that young people can apply?
Well, for me, very sadly, I mean, I know I might be sounding a little bit old school here, but sadly, common sense isn't common practice. I mean, if you've got a device and your child is on it 24/7, then clearly they need to be off it. I mean, I know it's easier said than done these days, but sadly, a lot of these things that we're seeing now in the 21st century, in the generation, the millennials, has already been mentioned in our generation, probably because we didn't have the level of social media and the scrutiny that we have there now. So there is a level of accountability and responsibility towards the individual, as well as obviously, if you've got, and again, I'm going to sound a bit controversial here, but if you've got 3-4 children and you happen to be a single parent because your partners are split, again, you have to sort of be conscientious and think to yourself, how did I get myself in this situation? Because clearly you're not going to be able to manage 4 children on your own. You just don't have the time and the space. So there are, as well as those sort of practical, real life situations, the coping mechanisms that has already been outlined by Lester rather, that they are some of the ones that we need to put in place. The parents do need to take responsibility. The schools can help, but they're not there to be social workers. My daughter happens to be a head of year in her school. She's seen children come in, and she's seen them on, and she can smell the weed on them. She can see that they're people that they're individuals in a year who have been smoking. What can she do? So I think it's unfortunately it's going to be a sort of holistic road. It's going to be parenting. It's going to be the child themselves being responsible. Also, society at large, sad cut down on this social media that we've now got and ban certain things because clearly we're in a situation now where everything's become out of control.
Yeah, very interesting topic. And Collette, your last word.
You know what it is? Communication. Communication is key. And I know the importance of having a family unit together. And I've met some amazing mothers. Who have grown their children. I'm so proud of them. So I know that if you're in a relationship and the man or the woman is abusive to you, do not stay in that. You don't want that child to grow with that anger. That child is going to take that anger on the street. You have to be able to talk about anything. I can't even tell you some of the things I would talk with my sons about. We had a communication 24/7. Have to have communication going. Have to have support. If you cannot reach your child, find someone else who can sit with your child. Talk to that child, and do not judge your child. Understand whatever situation your child is going to. Make sure that child know that you're there for them. I've seen parents throwing their children out on the street. When you throw your children out on the street, where do you expect them to go? Where do you expect them to, no matter what, sit with them, find out what's going on. And if they need whatever support, if you can't deal with it, then you deal with it. Do not throw your children out on the street, out there in the cold, when they get involved in smoking, robbing, killing, and desensitizing themselves from being a human. That's when we have problem. We should not allow our children to become monsters. Support, encourage, and empower.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so those are the key words. And as what Keisha said, she said something, a certain age you can't monitor though, and that certain age you can't control their usage and or content viewed though. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap up this section here now and move on to the other topic regarding Choppa. Anthony, I'm going to let you off. Have a good one. And hopefully next week, I was going to say, we'll still have the Prime Minister around.
And 100 days.
Well, Anthony was saying 7 days you gave the last time, Anthony?
Well, I said that in 7 days, when they were going to give their speech, they needed to get it right. They got it wrong.
Okay. All right. Have a good one. Collette, I
Thank
want you to
you.
stay there a bit. Touch it. Go. Yeah.
Thanks, Collette.
Anthony, have a
Thanks,
good
Les.
night,
Nice to
Anthony.
meet you.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about this topic here, which came out recently in Jamaica regarding the Broadcasting Commission banning music, Molly, drugs. I must say, and I'll say this, and I have no apologies. I did ask someone yesterday publicly what is Molly, and then two persons messaged me and said, Sylbourne, you're living on the rock. And then I said, it is great to be knowledgeable eventually after your ignorance has been displayed.
I don't know what is Molly.
Ah, okay. There you go.
I had a cat called Molly.
Collette, after all this R. Kelly thing and Bill Cosby thing and all of that, you don't know what is Molly?
I give up television 10 years now. I can't bother with the rubbish.
Well, I must say I don't feel bad then that
Really,
I was
guys?
the only one. Hey, let's stop. Can you explain what hold on. Before we go there, let's just bring in Khori Hyde. What is Molly, Khori? Khori? Or he's on the internet. I can't hear him.
Molly
Oh, he's there.
was a cat that belongs to Miss Polly. When walk, move a little bit jolly. I'm old school, mate. Anyways, them says a social drug says using right now. So yeah, I know what it look like.
Well, it's not even new. It's not even new, but
Wow.
No,
it's not even new.
Well, if I set the stage, I mean,
Yeah, but
the Broadcasting Commission has implemented this, and I'm not sure. Lester might know more, and Khori might know more, and David Chen is there on the horizon. Will come in. I want different persons share their view. There's also DP around. Steve Urchin from Brand New Machine hopefully will come in. Sean Paul, manager, and also Digital Chris from Irie FM as well. So if we set the stage, let's set the stage. What's the latest thing? Is it the government or is it the Broadcasting Commission?
Well, the Broadcasting Commission is an arm of government.
Well, why some people are trying to say it's not the government, it's the Broadcasting Commission.
It's
the Broadcasting Commission.
But that's why they monitor free-to-air TV and free-to-air radio, and not any other thing, And they're what they did, they're willing their rights to do it. I hear people, I don't know what, since this internet age, people start talking about rights and freedom of speech and all of that. The Broadcasting Commission has been doing this for the longest while, right? When Little Lenny had I'm trying to edit the title of the song.
Trying to edit the title of the song. Just
she. I don't know if you guys are familiar with she have the
she
Sing
had
it. Oh, El Badi.
Oh, call it my book. He told you that.
Yeah, but it was a different word. It was a different But the Broadcasting Commission also banned that song, and I was attending Kingston College at the time also.
Trouble ahead. Trouble ahead. Everyone, I song Trouble ahead. I song who can sing that song? You guys are Jamaican. Trouble ahead.
You just say that on Sylbourne.
No.
You don't know that song, Mister?
No, I'm not that. I may have grace, but I'm not that old.
David, you know that song there? Trouble ahead.
Trouble again. Oh, that's by King Kong. And I just saw him just now. Trouble again. We are the world in that trouble.
David, they've educated
all right, so you know which team meet up on tonight, Meet up on the young people team, because, young people team meet up on.
Khori, speak for yourself, Khori.
I had to keep Collette in to make sure it's not a bull assembly only,
I want to hear about the Molly.
Okay,
let's go ahead.
Before I get down to the Molly side, the Broadcasting Commission has been doing this a long time, So it's nothing new. It's just that we have multimedia now. We have access to media in our hands now, so the information gets around very quickly. They have banned multiple songs over the years. Coming up, they've banned formats of songs. Vibes Cartel actually let them change certain format because when he would do a explicit version, and in the same time I've seen him done it with my eyes. He would record the edited version also, um, but the beeping thing. So also a lot of his songs had a lot of beep 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 beep. So you know, stuff like that. But they do reserve the right to how can I say, adjudicate or prescribe what they want, what they see fit to be played on free to air radio. I don't know how much teeth it has now, because radio is not where the mass of the society is getting their entertainment from anymore. You know, I won't say radio is dead, but the young consumer, the consumers are consuming music and entertainment on their handheld devices. You know, for me, I grew up in the sound system era. I want particular songs. I used to have to go to a dance hall, literal bamboo fence and zinc fence, to hear a particular Shabba Ranks or a particular Joseph Hill.
Don't play.
But the music was and the culture was richer that way. I
Yeah.
also had anticipation. Now you listen to Irie FM or you listen to Zip, you go to a party, you're hearing the same exact thing, right? So there was no separate. There was no separate. There's no separation. I would want it go back to that segment. What has happened now is that because of the proliferation of media, because of more people are traveling, more people are coming to Jamaica, more things are exposed, we are also consuming international stuff. So the date rape drugs, the party drugs, the hip hop lifestyle, we are consuming that heavily now. Jamaican landscape and entertainment has changed since cable came to Jamaica, especially BET and MTV. Change a whole lot. Anyway,
can I just bring it, David? I was reading this article here. Backlash from members of the music. Chairman of the Broadcasting Commission, Professor Lloyd Waller, is adamant that the promotion of particular lifestyle through music has a negative impact on the population. Waller was defending the Commission's immediate ban that has been imposed on the playing of music that promotes or glorifies lottery scamming, the use of illicit drug mollies, and illegal guns. Is it an appropriate time for this, or is it late? Or what's your take, David?
My take on this, Sylbourne, and to your panel and to all the viewers and listeners out there. The thing is, right, with all honesty, within our culture as a people, we know that certain music, well, let's take it even to another level. The screens, right, the movies that comes out, 90% of those movies that you see like Badman music, I've got guns and drugs in there. So honestly speaking, from our culture, I personally think that these lyrical contents, the scamming songs, all those shouldn't even be on the radio in the first place, honestly speaking. And even some of these producers and promoters and music makers, they shouldn't let them come out of the studios, honestly speaking. There's a few sound systems that I support, and the sound systems and the musical contents, and even the artists, any artist that comes to me for management or for any form of promotion or any form of involvement with my name, they cannot have anything negative to it. Even if the name is negative, even if they've got a name, for example, Kiddish or anything that showcase any form of negativity in the name per se, the artist's name, that can't work with me. So I mean, to answer your question, Sylbourne, I think it should really happen a long time ago. Many of my artist friends were upset with me about it, but I'm literally just coming across from the studio right now. I was with Eggnog, I was with a couple of the older artists, and many persons are actually happy to what's happening. And I can say that now there's going to be a major 360 degrees change in what we listen to and what we hear, and also to the lyrical content that people write these days. It's going to change. So I mean, back in the days of people like Lieutenant Stitchy, Professor Nuts, we have humor within the music. Papa San, You know what I mean? So there's ways of writing. So I mean, if you can't write to please the entire world, if you want to have a bit of sexy conversation in those writing ability in the songs, then of course there must be some form of humor. But the humor that these guys are actually putting into the music are definitely a no-no. So again, I'm gonna say enough respect to the commission for actually putting out this ban on the music. And again, many persons are not gonna be happy with what I said, but you know, for our young people, I've got a grandchild right now, and I don't want my grandchildren to be hearing all these nastiness that's being played on our airwaves. And again, it's just my view. I've got children, I've got young people who I nurture. For the last 6 months, I was in Montego Bay doing some research on young people, young family. A 15-year-old boy tell me about something, mother. You know what I mean? And because I was trying to nurture him. So I mean, and it came just like that. And the mother said nothing about it, thinking it was the norm. And why? Because a lot of these songs too, a lot of these young people are putting these songs on the WhatsApp statuses. So therefore, we can't get rid of the songs then. Because as Lester said, you know, you have the radios there on one side. But apart from the radio, you have other persons out there who can actually broadcast the song across the world. So I mean, you know, we are there fighting it to actually clean up our airwaves, but many persons are actually, or will be actually still playing them through the airwaves.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's David Chen from A Taste of Our Culture. Actually, he's the first guy that got me in a studio to do an interview and tell me some of my foot was up too high. Anyway, we leave that for another time. Khori, what's your take as to the Broadcasting Commission? Khori Hyde, who is in charge of BritJam and Jamaican inspired in the UK. Yeah.
Oh, Sylbourne, one second. Hold on.
Catch it at.
Hold on.
I don't have any. Oh, you guys have
Find one. David, go find one.
Collette, you must have had Collette.
Me never at near my man.
Sylbourne, come on, Sylbourne. Sylbourne, is that you, Sylbourne? Catch you at Sylbourne. Yes, Sylbourne. Yeah.
Leroy Smart.
All right, so we're entering a zone right now where we're gonna have the battle of the generations, because it's gonna be seen as if the older generation is now clapping back, or the Broadcast Commission is now established powers being the old, because for more than, I would say, 5 years, going into probably years, the trend of the music was more deep-rooted, gang-related, and the justification for those kind of lyrics was, it's the experience. This is what they live, and this is what they're talking about, right? However, we have seen a steady trend into early childhood, where a young child, 3-4-year-old, know all of these tunes, right? And can interpret the tunes and regurgitate the tune when feel threatened. You understand? Case in point, you mentioned the 15-year-old telling you all of them kind of things, David. So we're gonna roll it back as one of the festival principal. We do engage artists that are trending globally, and they have songs that attract the masses, and of course that will put some revenue in promoters' pocket because they're coming through the door or through the gate to hear these tunes. Now I go back to the old saying, there's a time and place for everything. You create this demand, you don't hear the particular tunes. Back in the days, 20 years ago, certain tune, as a good brethren say, you probably would have a teeth out if you go listen to certain tunes, right? Now, Sting was built on that on the airways, certain tunes were not played, but you know, say go and play a Sting. So you make sure you have your Sting ticket. So it's really David. I am fearful that you mentioned 360, but I would want a 180. You understand me? Where the reset is okay. An artist is so creative that they can give you two versions. You understand me? And go back to the metaphors and similes, because this is where the music, the potency and the creativity of the music came from. The use of similes and metaphors, right? So you have to be well smart. The other day, it's only the other day me kind of understand what was being said by Yellow Man in a song zungu 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 zeng, and rare.
Yeah.
I'm revisit it now. I'm gonna say rat it.
What Zugu Zang mean?
Yeah.
What
What he was talking about?
No, you have to say.
You see it. We have another show for that.
David,
The comparison the youngsters made on social media was a long time. The money has a foolishness. So how do we know when we come?
The comparison was with Skillibeng. Skillibeng had a I don't know if Collette know who Skillibeng is.
Sing
Right?
the song.
Well, Skillibeng has a song called Wap Wap Wap, right?
Wap, 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 wap,
Wap,
wap,
wap,
wap,
wap, wap, wap, wap, right? So a lot of people were saying that the song is foolishness, right? London proved that to be not so, right? London proved that's not so, right? But person was saying that, but the song didn't have any lyrical content and structure. But when you look at Yellow Man songs, Zungu Zeng,
yes.
right, it is a similar thing where we don't know what he's saying. But I mean, I'm a 70s baby, grew up in the 80s. We didn't start to have formulation of content until the Mad Cabra, Papa San, Lieutenant Stitcher era, right? You had sprinkles of it, Major Worries, right? But you had sprinkles of it. But when they start have wholesome, like more artists coming into content and context and similes and metaphors and storytelling, was the Mad Cabra, Lieutenant Stitcher era coming up.
Right.
As bad as Ninja Man was, Ninja Man's song structure wasn't good enough. Ninja Man was more of a gimmicks on the spot guy, bad enough, bad. But he wasn't that formidable songwriter per se, But the thing is that it exploded now in terms of lyrical genius. Shabba Ranks gave you poetry. Shabba Ranks gave you a love story. Shabba Ranks gave you a sex symbol, sex appeal, right? And he had, although he made ugly cool, he made being black, like dark skin black cool. What we had at that time in terms of the music was apprenticeship.
Yes.
We had apprenticeship. That is no more, because, like, when I speak to the older artists, right, the artists of the 90s or the early 2000s, they don't know any of these new guys.
No.
And what happened is that there's no more studio.
Yeah.
There's no more sitting out at the studio gate. Yeah. So sitting out at the studio gate caused the artists them to know one another, cause a fellowship, cause a community. There's not that anymore. I can come link David with my laptop, and David lock up in them car, our voice a song, right? And David can send the files to Stephen, or send the files to whoever for balance it and mix it and master it. That's it. So me now never meet nobody else in the music industry. But what happened now is that you have trends, and the trends have changed. Has it changed for the best or better?
Can I just okay, Khori, go ahead.
Yeah, there are two things at play, right? Creativity and interpretation. Okay? Yeah. And if you leave the audience to their own interpretation, and you as a creator, will think that the bigger influence coming from a misinterpretation, you will always continue with misinterpretation, because the misinterpretation have now made your tune popular.
Yeah.
So how do you now face the public to say, I never that me mean? Right? those kind of things. So a lot. So it is down to the artist. It comes right back down to the artist to explain to the people that look, I am not a part of a gang.
All
This
right.
is it.
Let's bring in David. David, let's bring in David.
Yeah, go on. Got you.
David, can you hear us? You're
Yeah, I
not
can
muted.
hear. Yeah, I can hear now. Yeah, yeah. My connection to what's been said there just now is that I agree with the studio setting whereby you can actually, for example, where I am right now, I'm actually on my veranda in a townhouse, and I've actually made a makeshift studio. I can do anything from this makeshift studio where I am right now, and rightfully I can record something. Woof, press a button, and I send it to the Japan to my guys who are coming in next week. And Vito, just put that together for me and send it to New York so I can actually get something done, and then send it back to me again so we can do the march, and we can put the tracks on it, we can do everything, we can put the rhythm on it. So music is being done within seconds these days.
Yeah.
However, based on the studio setting, right, to what Lester just said, right, based on the studio setting, I live in front of a studio, Soundwave studio, where all the original guys are there. However, those are you still have studio settings whereby you can aim to actually link with the like-minded veterans, put it that way then, right? Who are willing to listen, who are willing to write properly, and they will not do a dub, right, on a request whereby certain lyrical content is requested. It's not about the money. So there's a difference. There's a difference with some artists who respect the name, who respect the career, who respect the who have got integrity, whereby you have another set now which is all about the money. So I mean that which is where we are at now. So in other words, now there's no integrity anymore. So it's the reason why the Choppa thing come in, the gun thing come in, the whatever it is. They're not doing it because of the goodness of the heart, because of the love for the music. They're doing it now because of the money, to see who can get richer quicker, who can buy the most expensive vehicle, who can build the house the fastest. So I mean that love for the music and for our culture is not there. So I mean, based on where we're going now, the only way forward, honestly speaking, the only way forward is to reignite the sound systems, right, and get the sound systems back in order to play all across Jamaica, across the world, so people can really understand the true demographics of the music. And with that happening, the only way now is to encourage all these new artists to go back on sensible lyrics and to start writing decent songs.
All right, stick up in. No, stick up in right there. Stick up in, please.
Yeah.
Chris, how are you, Chris? Can you hear it? Chris? Digital Chris from Irie FM. Chris, can you hear me? I can't hear Chris. I hear what David said, but I want to sort of tie this up in a sense, because this is a very long sort of discussion here. The Broadcasting Commission, and that's where I'm sort of zeroing on, it's an alarming concern that it's not just us, but many other agencies across government and even the private sector have all signaled a concern about the increase in violence and crime. We see where a lot of music seems to be promoting a particular type of lifestyle. And based on the utterances and feedback while doing our consultation, we have decided that it would be prudent to do all of what we have been doing to monitor these things if we believe that it will have a negative impact on the rest of the population. There's a term in law, they say the mischief or the reason why this ruling was made.
Yeah.
It is about crime, isn't it? At the same time.
But okay.
Yeah.
My issue with it is.
Sorry, are you for it or against it? I didn't know.
I'm for it, right?
Oh,
because radio has to be a particular format, right? I'm for it. But I don't know if it will help because of how the kids are consuming music. That's one. Two, is where them live. Is actually where them live, right? Now, what is being said in dancehall now has always been said in dancehall, right? It's just it has been said differently, but it has always been said. Ninja man with one house a gun. You understand me? All these songs coming up.
Border clash. Border
All, yeah, all these violent songs coming up. Bounty Killer had a problem with Tommy Lee when Tommy Lee was talking about Uncle Demon, right? Now, and Bounty Killer was saying that he a mash up dancer, but Bounty Killer, right, got his break from singing very violent songs. So it is what has been always been in dancehall, but Bounty Killer was always singing about his reality in Seaview and Riverton City. Being Man the same thing, Shabba the same thing. The era of Vibes Cartel and Movado, right? They were singing about what was around them, the freaky lifestyle and the rich lifestyle and stuff like that. They were singing what is around them. These young guys now who are 19, 17, 16, so 2022, they are living in the Choppa era and the scammer era, right? So remember, scamming is not new. Scamming is not new. It is new to this side of the world. So they're living this type of lifestyle. They're seeing it. So they're going to sing about it, right? So I understand what David is trying to say to go to, but if they are not one merging with the older artists to learn the business, learn performing, learn the tenets of music and entertainment, then regardless of the institution that we put in, if they don't come, if they don't assimilate, if they don't learn, it's just the older artists alone are going there. So it's to me, the exercise has to be mutual. These young guys have to be able, have to want to come on board with these things. What is going to happen? Exactly the same thing. They must say, all right, you're not playing music, because they make them money. When I look at Skilly Bang, who bought an X6 or an X5 during the pandemic. During the pandemic, he didn't do any show, no tour, anything. So it's hard to tell these guys, right, who are coming into the music, like Six them from Mobile. These guys came into the music millionaires. They came into the music millionaires. How can you then tell them to stop singing what they were living and what they have seen around them in their community?
But couldn't it be said that by virtue of the fact that they are targeting the airwaves, they're actually showing, like what the guy said, the Broadcasting Commission guy, that they are not accepting or condoning certain things? At least it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, they're setting a standard. I like
But
that.
they don't make, but it's where the money is, Sylbourne. They don't make money from radio.
No, but they have to do something. They have to show the public that they're putting a stance to what's going on in the country. And by them stepping up to that, is at least, it might not solve the situation, but at least it shows that they're moving into, creating some form of support for the
I mean,
Chris, are you there? I'm not sure if Chris is there. Chris, can we hear you? I don't think we can hear Chris. I think he has some challenges. Khori, you're saying, please.
Yeah, I totally agree. You see, it's a sad day when we can't realize that we are in trouble. A family that cannot realize or identify when there are problems within that family or that household is at risk of losing that household. Okay, Jamaica has been labeled as a murder capital. Once again, it's been amplified, and there's so many things that you can probably attribute that to. But the lowest hanging fruit is always the music, certain influences, which is poverty and all those kind of things, and what is the product of poverty. So you earmark it. So I am saying this to say that it's also the responsibility of parents, guardians, right, to safeguard their little ones. And if you're gonna be tolerant of the type of lyrics that's been played in a minibus that your little one is traversing to and from school or wherever, if you're gonna be tolerant of that, what is that saying about you, right? Not necessarily taking onto yourself that the music is the greatest influence of crime and all of that, but remove stimulus, right? You take that one thing away, and by removing each, you will make an impact. So I am in agreement with the Broadcast Commission taking a stance.
Yeah.
How our young artists, we have Chris back. You can hear him.
Yep, Chris.
All right.
He's just there, but you keep talking. I told him
Right.
to just say Sylbourne when he tries. Yeah.
Right. So, with Broadcast Commission making this decision, we have to now do some introspection, with the young people versus the old school, because I don't want it to be a generational battle, right? Lest that it is going to fall into that. The old boy are going to sit down. You understand? A young people time. You understand what is true?
Yeah. Well, listen to what Claudine Williams say. Why the push for this change now? Why not 10, 20 years ago?
No.
Isn't it too late now? Why only on guns? Why not on drugs and violence? What about all those sexual inappropriate songs? Somebody I was speaking to earlier says 12 years too late.
No. It can't be late. You're making a change now. It can't be late.
Can't be late. Better late than never. Better late than never. Better late than never.
You have to make a stop.
But can I let me throw in something here.
We're bringing David.
Hold on.
No, go. Can you go ahead, Lester?
Well, listen.
The radio shows, right?
Lester,
Like with Digital Chris play upon, Jenny play upon, Garfield Hamilton, Troy McLean, all these guys. Will their shows, and Liquid them and these guys, will their shows be relevant without these type of content?
but the thing is, listen, Lester and everyone, right? How it should be right now. We shouldn't even be thinking about that. We should be thinking about what is good for us, for our people, for our image, for our culture. Remember, regardless of what anybody want to say, if we want to adapt our music, it's up to them, right? But we in Jamaica, we should be pushing out the best thing ever, best thing forward. If you go to America class themselves as if they're the best in the world. If you go to Britain, they class themselves as if they're the best in the world. So why we Jamaicans must be adapting all those nasty music, all those nasty things that isn't really within our culture? We don't make Mali. We're not the creators of scamming. We're not the creators of guns. So all these things that we're singing about, we're not the creators of it. So why can't we talk about the beautiful beat? It may sound a bit boring. They may say that Jamaican men are the best men in the world. Jamaican women are the best women in the world. Whatever context you want to put it in, but put the humor into it. We don't even be singing about guns, about Molly's, about crime, about this and that, because we don't create it. So if the Broadcasting Commission and all the media houses and all the broadcast journalists like myself and many others who talk about positive things, Khori himself with BritJam, who do things in Ghana, who do things in the UK, do things in Jamaica, wherever it is, Sylbourne, your show. The thing is, all of us within that network, DJ Chris and many others, all of us out there should be talking about the positive things. And the thing is, we cannot be hypocrites neither, because there's certain shows, I'm not going to call the names, who interview these artists before they reach anywhere, and they profile these artists as if they're something, and they're the ones who create most of the problem too. So I'm not knocking the disc jockeys or the radio programs or the broadcasters who do the live shows, but they are also the problem too, because sometimes you're highlighting and you're giving all these artists the boost, and you know that it's done only because of endorsements. Who's going to sponsor your show? So many of them just use it for money. So if you're going to be hypocritical and then back in the days, you're the person who made these people, why are you making them, curb them to do good things? So, again, enough people are vexing me because I speak the truth. And, for our culture, I am there to support our culture. Hence the reason why my company, A Taste of Our Culture, is out there to do the best things forward. And a quick plug, Sylbourne, 12th of November. Those who want to see sound systems, come to Paradise View on the Saturday, 12th of November in my property in Paradise View. 2 of the biggest sound systems are going to be there. I'm going to leave it there, sir. See when I say the flyer.
Well, definitely. You just have to tell me what to do, David, all the while. You need to tell me what to do. But listen.
But Sylbourne, there's a deeper societal problem here, right? I don't know if David and Khori should be affiliated or familiar, with Dirty Fridays, right?
Yes.
So I used to live in Fletcher's Land, where Dirty Fridays used to keep. And what I found out is
Is
that
there clean Friday? Like that?
no.
I never know there was a dirty one.
Just let me dance.
Up on Mondays now.
Four Tuesdays and there's other more explicit names for parties. But the promoter, there were promoters who were bringing or issuing ecstasy and Molly in the parties. So it's not just entertainers alone now singing about it. So and it's all so a lot of these parties that used to be in and around Kingston and Montego Bay and stuff like that, the promoters themselves, and these promoters were not young people. So we have a greater societal problem here, right? Now the thing is, we have to look at how we're going to gauge these young people, right? How are we going to talk to them? Because if you have a young man like Skeng, who he's driving like a $15 million car or a $30 million car, what are you going to say to him to stop doing that? He's making his money from this thing.
Let me interject there quickly. It comes back around to the same thing again, which is the branding, money, promotions, right? Most of these people, when they keep the dances, it's all about the money. When they do the music, it's all about the money. The culture is the loss of culture. I mean, the love of culture is not there no more.
Not there.
Just like with cricket, just like with football, most of them go there for the endorsements. It's only must be a big E that like me who want to keep dance and carry them from Kingston to bring a sound system to St. Thomas to make sure that people can hear good music. You understand? But most of these people, it's all about the money. It is very sad. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not knocking anyone, but if you even watch some of these females, listen to look on the statuses, the songs that they put on the status, it's all about money. How much their vagina is the best vagina, and without a good money, without whatever it is, them not, you know what I mean? So there's so many things to it. But the disc jockeys, the producers, whoever it is involved, the heads before the music get disseminated out there, they need to be what's the word I'm trying to find? They need to be honest with themselves and say, you know what, we're not going to get those music out there. If they even want to include bleep, but we have to be honest with ourselves because it is the value in Jamaica. All right, the money is yes, man, the money nice, your fault, but it's not all about the money. We're talking about our integrity. We're talking about our youths. We're talking about our culture. That's my biggest passion about what's happening with. That's why I came home to try and see if I can make a difference. But you know what I mean? You have man out there bigger than David Chen who will accept anything for a case of ensure. We're not endorsement.
I'll say this, David. When I was doing my master's study,
right?
You know which artists I listen to? Almost every day. In my ears, to university back. Sometimes, you know, when I do the little work in a lecture theater, Biggie Smalls in my ears.
Ooh.
Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G.
Okay.
You know why I listen? It's a conscious reminder of who I don't want to be. And the situations, the stories, right? I don't want to be, and that kept me focused, right? Now, when you check the levels as to why other people listen to certain music, the influence, the impact the music have on them, it's a real thing. And it goes back to a question, you know, that has been posted because, you know, it says, would you invite a disc jockey to come to your child's party to play the type of music that has been banned?
Wow.
Yeah,
you know,
no, think of it.
Hold on. Listen, stick up in us, my brother. I was speaking with a church leader yesterday, right? And I said to her, she's head of the women's group of a certain number of church. I said to her, would you come to my event with 2 sound systems? The woman said no. She said no. I said, but I need you to be there as a balance because of what we're trying to do from a musical point of view for the community. She said no, she wouldn't because it's not her type of thing. She's not going to a dance hall. I said it's not about the dance hall, but the music on a dance hall. And she couldn't understand that we're aiming to play clean music and her input would be there to support what we're trying to do as a country, as a community. And she still said no. She declined my offer to come
Maybe
and
it's
support.
maybe it's the religion. It depend on our religion, because some religion will readily come. So
Two
everybody
things.
is different.
I'm bringing a reverend inside this year.
Okay.
We have all different type of persons on this show.
but-
Reverend Gary Graham, how are you doing, sir?
Gary,
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 can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. Yeah.
are you coming to bless the dance?
Just in time.
Just in
Bless
time.
the dance, Gary.
Just in time.
Just
Because Collette out the one
Early
bad.
juggling.
Collette is
Early
out the
juggling.
one
Early
bad.
juggling.
I'm fine.
But you know what, guys? You know what? Honestly, we have to look at all spheres, right? Dancehall music is adult music, you know. Dancehall music is adult music. We have to remember that. The tenets of dancehall music is adult content, right? Now, there's clean content in dancehall and reggae, right? But also we have to understand that it is geared towards adults. It is adults who let children be exposed to dancehall, like in the taxi, in the bus, in the sound system, your
Amen.
neighbor. It is adults who does that, right? But listen, I see one of my good friends here, Reggae Rocky, pose a
Yeah,
question.
yeah. I want to go into that, but finish your point, and then I'm going to go on to something about morality and the censorship. Yes.
The thing is, it's all about what we as adults is doing in our own space, right? I used to be laying in my bed, and the sound system is playing, right? And I could hear all of the the bad word them, all of the the gunshot them, right?
Yeah.
And so I wasn't even in the party itself, but I was exposed to it night after night after night after night, right? When used to have the Encarver buses going to when I was going to school, and the sound systems in these buses,
Yeah.
right? And then you have the popular girls where the artists call the girls that take these buses on a regular basis. Them naming of the song them,
Yes.
right? No, this is what I'm saying, that what has happened is that adults has brought the music to children. And this is outside of radio, How are we going to curb that? Because remember, the outside of radio is bigger than radio. Radio is just a very small space of what the music is. But like a man like Khori now, would Khori have certain artists on his event?
Yeah, well, by popular demand, because as you go right back to what you say, it's an adult event, adult space, adult zone, and what happens in an adult zone, right? Children are protected from that. I remember one year there was a marching band at the festival, and it was led by a youngster, right? I couldn't have the youngster on stage, although the marching band was a main attraction, something new, something different brought in by one of the promoters on the itinerary.
Stick a pin right there. Chris, Lyrical Chris, if you're using your laptop, just use your phone. Try your phone, okay, and come back in. Yeah. Sorry, Khori, go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. So there's so many moving parts to how this thing can get to the youngsters, let them be on board that this ban is necessary. It is important, without even destroying their push, their ambitions of becoming the next big thing. So my thing is that the Broadcast Commission, could revisit the language itself, and still maintain the push for this ban, right? I believe that if we get a reset, even a 1-year reset, and a rethink of how the tunes are presented, I think we'll be better off for it. I went to Ghana the other day, and when you think that the African nation should be in love with dancehall, we have a rude awakening. Rude awakening event on the beach, Lombardy Beach. I tell you, I have to say to the the selector. The selector said, boy, the people them are on the trending too, you know, right? I'm not saying that dancehall is not popular there, but you're not getting the songs that are drawing the bad influence, because Africa, they don't have it in their culture. They don't have it. Them love dancehall,
Yeah.
right? But
You
not
know,
paying it.
you know what
Be
I
careful.
want to, you know what I want to touch on though, and I'm trying to go through a few things because we're gonna keep going on. Big question by Reggae Rocket said nobody has ever challenged the constitutionality of the Broadcasting Commission censorship. What if a radio station or artist challenge the ban as moral police? Is this about moral policing?
But that's not true. Vibes Cartel did. Vibes
Vibes
Cartel
Cartel,
did.
Vibes Cartel did what? What did Vibes
He
Cartel do?
challenged Cardinal Green. He challenged the Broadcasting Commission. Several other artists did also. But the thing is that you see, remember, the broadcasting license is issued by the government.
Yeah.
So that in itself is where the issue is. So if the radio station or the TV station is in breach of the Broadcasting Commission's rules, right, their license can be revoked,
Yeah.
or they
Yeah.
can face a
Yeah.
hefty
All right.
fine. The fines are not small, you know, that they face, you know.
I want to get into more views from persons here. Let's hope versions of these banned songs are not employed by politicians during elections. That is something always happening, isn't it?
But it's two different contexts.
Yeah.
It's two different contexts. Because like, remember, our politics is of a festival type of feel. So a politician will use anything that would gear him popularity to win. You know,
Yeah.
so it's left up to the artist whether they're going to partake in doing some of these songs for the politician. It's left up to the artist.
Yeah.
You know, and the artists are getting paid. Some artists get during the last election, some artists get a hefty sum of money to do these songs.
Chris, are you there? Chris not there. Chris flagged up a point there. What he said was he said something. I'm trying to see where. Let me just say, I think there's a difference with music for mainstream and music for underground. And I tell you what, let me just post it here. What Chris said, he put his contribution. There's a difference with music for mainstream and music for underground. When someone turns on a radio, they are letting you pay. And going further, now that they might hear something on the raw side of the coin, hence every song has its place. Maybe a vibesy song, but still not good enough for radio. I think we have drawn a consensus anyhow that it is a good move. Is that correct?
Sylbourne,
It is a good
it's
move.
a great move. But can I say one thing? I called my mom in Jamaica and I thought she was having a party in the house. And the party wasn't in the house. The party was down the road. So all the lyrics and everything that we're trying to keep away from our young people. My dear friend mentioned that just now about the fact that yes, the radio may be contained as it relates to music, but when you have the neighbor just down the road, over the hill, blasting away, you can hear every song. You can feel the house deck, and you could almost swear the deck roof shaking with the vibration. So we're still gonna have these songs filtering through the community, and as what I think David mentioned, to get the promoters to stop promoting these individuals. And yes, it's a dance hall, as dance means for adults, but the music still filters through to the community. So that's going to be another kettle of fish to deal with.
I think we'll have to pick up this on Saturday night. Talk and say, David.
One last quick point. If persons like Gary don't come to dancehall, right?
Sure.
How can we have any change? Gary hiding from Fire Links, hiding from Boom Boom. Gary needs to come to the dance.
No,
Boom, boom.
let's stop. When we have our regular weekend club nights in the UK, you know, we invite ministers to pass through and them get the mic and them talk to the audience for
Yes.
5-10 minutes. All the while there's a place for them. You know, I'm gonna tell you, it's documented for them time, and the reception was marvelous. But let me say this point and free up the platform that we're dicing with two dangerous things, right?
Sure.
And morality versus law itself, right? So if we're breaching moral values, we are more likely to breach the law, and let us protect the innocent. I mean, my sister, the music will always reverberate through the death house and all of them kind of things. I can live for now, but we could start with the airways. All right? We could start this up. And we can probably drive a lot more traffic to dance on. So David with him big sound system and all of that, which is gonna be clean music. And let's put on a big dance and celebrate.
November what, David? November what, David? November what day?
November 6th.
Saturday the 12th of November.
Oh, 12.
Saturday the 12th of November. And the thing is, it's going to be a country dance with a difference. And as the message is, let your music be your medicine and let your medicine be your music. And that's what we're doing. Yeah, man. So,
digital Chris tell you about Acropolis.
Sylbourne, can I say something?
Yes, Reverend. Guys.
DJ Gary, go on to DJ Gary.
It's good to be on the same platform as you blogging, God. It's good to be with you, Lester. It's good to be with you, yeah? Let me just start from this premise, right? I'm a musician myself. I mean, I grew up in and around Kingston there and all of that. Grew up in Drumblay, not too far from Grants Pen. Hear all that music up there with gunshot at night time. Go to sleep and wake up and go to school, yeah? And all of that. Now, we're all aware that music influences. It influences the soul, and it influences people. And 20, 30, 40 years back, when all the music was blurting down the place, right? And at that time, what was being played at that time, because again, I grew up in a my parents were ministers in the church, and so music was all around. Church, go to school, dance, you have to walk past Grants Pen and all of that. Grants Pen wasn't as bad as it is now, but it was still going on. And it influences young minds.
Yeah.
Even now, forget about reggae and dancehall. The other types of music, drill, and all of that, it seems also to be influencing young men and young women to commit violence. Gang violence, both here in the UK as well as in the States and all of that. We've got to be so mindful of these things. And what now is being, I understand, Lester, what you said in regards to it is an adult kind of thing. But what we've got to also be aware of is that, as someone also mentioned, when the music is being played at a level that even though it's being heard by the adults, but the young, the children are hearing these things, and it is influencing these young minds, and we can't really get away from that. The things that our young boys, young girls are being stared into, it's terrible. Now, I understand that people must be free to listen to whatever they want to listen to, but there are some things, my friend, that I don't think that we ought to be really allowing the children to listen to it at the level that they are, and driving them to do things that it seems that they have no control over. There is a spirit that comes with the music. Any genre, any type of music, whether it be jazz, whether it be jazz funk, whether it be soul, R&B, classical, all of these things, there is a spirit that goes with these things.
Connects, yes.
That connects with them, that drives them to do the things that they do. We can't get away from that. And I think that even the very words, I mean, when Yellowman came out a few years back, you know, and started doing his thing, I mean, it was disgusting. It was terrible stuff. I mean, I love to hear Bob Marley and his type of thing. Everybody loves Bob Marley. The whole world loves Bob Marley. He sang real life things, real life.
Yeah.
You know,
He wanted to kill the pastor, you know.
Eh?
He wanted to kill the pastor.
Was
He
that you,
shot the
Gary?
sheriff, but he did shoot the deputy.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Fine.
He
Let's
felt like bomb in a church. He said that.
Let me bring in Chris.
Hold
Sorry, go on.
on, Sil. Let me just say this one thing, right? I haven't yet been invited in the UK. I'm in Leeds at the moment. Yes, I go between Birmingham, Leeds, and London. But I'm in Leeds, in West Yorkshire at this moment in time. Now, I have not yet been invited to go to a dance, to talk. I have not yet. Yes?
Khori.
It doesn't mean that I will go to every dance, Corey. It doesn't mean that I will go to every dance to talk, because I don't think it's the right place for a minister. Even though he has the captive audience, I understand. Even though that's where some of the guys will be that will not come to a church. I do understand that. I fully agree with you, Corey. But at the same time, I don't know if I need to come to a dance to share the word of God. You know why? Because a lot of our men, our children, they were grown up in church. A lot of them went to Sunday school. A lot of them knows the Bible.
But Pastor, the sheep that has gone astray, the one that has gone astray. Don't sometimes you just leave the flock and go look for the little one.
I understand, Corey. I understand.
Gary and Khori, just 1 second. Let me just bring in Chris. Chris, can you speak?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? I'm not hearing the video, so
don't worry, you talk.
Okay.
You're just gonna give a lecture.
Actually, listening to you guys, I was seeing you, but my microphone, I don't know what's happening there. Okay, in regards to what's happening right now with the Broadcasting Commission, trying to regulate the music, I think it's a good step forward. Like, I sent a text in earlier on saying that there is a big difference with radio and dancehall, meaning mainstream and underground. A lot of the DJs who are gatekeepers need to know this. Will hear that doesn't mean it's good enough for radio, but because you want to remain popular with the masses, the song is edited, and then now persons who are hearing the raw version and they're hearing the clean version feel that right across the board it's still something good to do. I think that radio for me is actually persons inviting me into their home to play for them. And anybody with morals would want to hear good music and want to know that if you have a child, you don't have to run and turn it down because, why, you know, this is coming on. You need to know that you can play. Your grandmother, your grandfather, your auntie, your uncle, the baby can listen to your show. Now, there's a thing called the watershed period that's between, I think, 8:45 to 9 o'clock in the night. Now, this period is basically for family. And I think after that, you can get a little more edgy. So for me, it's not really a problem because I sit down and I sip my music. But when I go to the dance hall and I play, you can't believe it's me playing on the radio. Because we just get raw, we just get, you know, let your ear down and just do everything. Well, Khori knows. I mean, Khori has been to the club when I was at the Acropolis nightclub, you know, and I'm not sure if he has been to any of the dances that I've played. But we, as presenters, we need to differentiate night from day, meaning mainstream from underground.
But Chris,
I'm not hearing anybody. I can't hear you.
Don't worry, Chris.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can I say something?
Come on, I can hear you loud and clear.
Everybody hear you live and there. Can I just ask a question? And hi, Vanessa. Vanessa is here as well. Vanessa is going to say something, but not yet, Vanessa. I'm going to wrap up shortly. But Chris, I hear you say night and day, but the Broadcasting Commission brought this thing in to sort of deal with the whole type of music. Isn't it something that should be filtered then throughout all the different spaces, the music, the clubs, or so, to bring Jamaica into a very positive and nice atmosphere? We are seeing American winning reggae music award and stuff like that, Grammy award. Where are we losing something at the same time?
Well, listen, the Broadcasting Commission is to regulate radio.
Okay.
Now, if we want to clean up all of this, what we have to do is first we have to meet with the producers. Now, that is very hard to do because every man have a little studio in a house in some corner. One time you know that well is King Jammy's, Star Trail, you have Penthouse, and you can call them, Mr. Jeremy, and come in, Jammy's come in. Let's have a meeting. We need to clean up the music. But everybody, you can even record on your phone.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very hard to regulate. Plus, these days, let me tell you, kids aren't really listening to radio like that,
No.
Everybody's on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes I hear some songs and I don't even know them as a DJ. I hear a person with a phone and he's playing it.
Yeah.
So how do you regulate something like that? I mean, to make the first step, every journey starts with a step, right? But cleaning up the airwaves, I understand where the commission is coming from. Yeah, we need to do that because I hear something sometimes and I'm like, really? Are you serious? Even the edits, you can hear at the end. So it tells you that it's very obvious. Yeah. You know what the word is.
Yeah. All right, Chris. Yeah. So, thanks for that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, man.
All right. Respect. We got you through anyhow, at least.
Yeah, man. Respect everyone.
Respect.
I'll be listening. I'll just...
Yeah. Bye.
Listen, but
yeah. No problem, Chris. All right. Take care. Yeah. Cheers.
Lots of respect. Yeah.
Respect. Cool. Okay. So Chris has spoken and give his perspective, and I'm gonna ask Vanessa. Vanessa, how are you? You're in the music business.
Yes.
As well. What's your take on the new development?
I applaud the new development, and as Digital Chris has said, that the implementation of it, there will be challenges, but there's nothing that we cannot overcome. And don't forget that the law is a tool of social regulation, because wherever the law goes, persons follow.
Yes.
Because the banning of, even though you can say you can't regulate the dance or you can't regulate the TikTok, since the announcement, I have seen Pastor Campbell, who Sylbourne and I and some people here are a fan of, and people said what the new dancehall will look like on TikTok, and they have Pastor Campbell beating the Kumina drums and singing and dancing. And
I saw them singing heads, Elon toes, and one guy said,
yeah, this is all new. So even TikTok has already started to follow where the legislation has gone. And the pastor before said he doesn't know if he will go to every dance, and I can understand him. But however, though, I am happy for people like Minister Marian Hall, who's calling us to the music, because God, I believe, the Most High has his agents that he has called for such a time as now. Because I personally, when Minister Marian Hall, for example, had crossed over from the dance hall into the church, I remember, I would say, the beating she got from Christians, from the music industry, from the society, and she stuck with it. And I see her with the song, I thought I would have dead right now. And there's a place and a space for people, because when she goes into the dance hall and sings sing those kind of, then it will be looked at quite differently. So some people have a different ministry. Perhaps pastor's ministry is to preach from his pulpit and would not want to go to the dance hall. Perhaps the dance hall people have to come into the church. But they are agents, they are ministers. And I personally am happy to see, I would like to see, I don't like this thing where the women, them skinning out them and carrying on. I think the music has gone downhill. The flatness in the music has overtaken the roots reggae. Now that the roots reggae has been overtaken by the flatness, what is going on now is that a lot of people outside of Jamaica have taken up the roots reggae, singing the clean music, and they're the ones getting the festival bookings in Europe and so on and so forth. So we are wallowing in filth. They're taking on the righteousness of reggae, and they are also inheriting the sweets. And these people are not Jamaican. But I think the Broadcasting Commission is going to, be very successful. I had one artist calling me last night saying to me, why I did have a violent song I got. What happened to it now? Them can't bleep out the things them no more because the distract them now in the mood for it. And I said, wonderful. I want about that song. So I want somewhere,
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you, Vanessa, for coming on. And guys, 1 minute, a 1 hour show has gone into 2 hours. Our 30-minute segment has gone into 1 hour and a half. I think we'll have to finish up on Saturday. Continue on Saturday night. Talk and see. But I'm going to close off now. But David, let me just go around the thing. David, your final word, David. Oh, sorry. My apologies, David. Sorry, you're having a background, so I muted you. Go ahead, David, please.
Yes, sir. I've got my little team here, so you can see people walking through now and then. I do apologize. But the final word for now, Sylbourne, and to everyone, to all my Jamaicans home and abroad, is that peace, love, and unity, as I always say. And we just need some constructive things coming out of us. Not only about the music alone, but anything that really have our culture going. We just want to keep it positive. And as we always say, Sylbourne, we're working together for a better Jamaica, and we just want that concept and the overall notion to really support our people as wide and far as we can, near and home. You know what I mean? And I must say, those who know my community, you see, once you pass in my house, my first gate to the next gate, if you play any music, I guarantee that they use them. One, they pull up the trousers if they're wearing the trousers on the backside. Two, they turn on the music. And three, the utmost respect. And I'm one of the youngest guy in there who believe that you work with the community. So I mean, for those who are in the fraternity, those who are in the community, don't disrespect the youth them. You know what I mean? Just make sure that if you see them going wrong, communicate with them. Most importantly, because with this new situation with the commission, I know that a lot of youths are gonna be thinking negatively. But just nurture them. Let them know the reason why it's being done, and also from a longevity for their name to stand up strong. I mentioned an artist. I used to work with this guy called Killish. He came to me with the name Killish, and I said, I'm not going to work with you as Killish. Change your name, and he's now known as CD Banging. I changed that name from Killish to CD Banging, and he's one of the best mixtape CD producers right now in Jamaica. So I mean, the name goes a far way. Young artists who are listening right now, young entrepreneurs, your name is your brand. Your name is your unique selling point. Your name is your intellectual property. So I urge everyone to keep a positive name, a positive notion, and we are all will be winners within this Jamaica, not just the music industry, but anything at all that we're based on Jamaica. All right, and that's right.
And one more plug. Go for it. I found it.
One more plug. David Chen, Saturday, 12th of November. Scorpios, everyone out there, come and support, man. All of you people within the expats, everybody, come and support me. All right? And Pastor, listen, before you came on, I'd mentioned to the team here that I asked a young lady who's the head of certain churches if she'd come to my event, and she told me no. But Pastor, I want to get as many faith believers into my events because it's all about working together. Where David, Khori know me, Sylbourne know me, Vanessa know me, it's all about working together. That's all I do. You know what I mean? It's not about money. We're past the money stage. It's all about us Jamaicans who can really benefit and support each other. Pastor?
Can you see on Zoom?
I'm considering something to go to stream extremely live. Yes, I'm considering something.
The pastor can go.
All right.
No, use the word properly. Pastor can forward.
David,
That's
enough
not a religious
respect.
song. You have to play a song for me now. Remember, same one gospel here.
David, enough respect. Let's not respect. Let's go to Collette now. Collette.
Well, I just want to say, if any of our young people are listening right now, I just want to say to them to take this opportunity to show the world how passionate our young people in Jamaica can be, and how they're full of lyrics. Any way they want it, them can get it. If they want the bad man thing out, we can fine tune it. So we just want to let them know that we're sending them some positive vibration from London, because I believe in the next generation. And as I said, we just need to encourage them, be gentle with them. Don't judge them. You don't know their pain, just sit with them and inspire them. And I know that we can do this. I feel a positive vibration coming where this is concerned.
Definitely.
And Lester.
I am for the ban. For me personally, radio for sound like radio.
Sure.
Radio is to be where on a Saturday morning you can play your music in your house from any radio station, and you can dance, sing along. Your kids can sing along. You're not have to run or turn on your radio because of certain content. That was how I was raised. For a certain man, you're clean, and the music I play, you dance and all a vibe. Dance will sound like dancer straight, right? So I don't believe in censorship of artists in terms of the artistry or the content. A creator suppose you can set and write anything at all in more. It's a consumer's choice to buy it or not, right? Dancers feel like them get beat up on because them don't censor the theater, they don't censor books and stuff like that. Yeah. But that's for a different discussion. But for me, radio for sound like radio for nice again. What I think this may do, this may bring in other artists who their music wasn't playing as much, that they'll get a chance to be highlighted and played now. And the younger artists them say, all right, watch me on them. Because them have ego, Watch me on them. Bring some radio song on them. We control radio same way.
Yeah.
Like David.
Yeah.
I talk on one restaurant tell me same here my gospel for Irie for money. I'm gonna start sing gospel too.
So this is a challenge to the young artists them to step up them game.
Yes.
And I think that this will have an impact on radio. I don't know if it's negative or positive, but it will have an impact on radio. Yeah. But Sylbourne, we have to continue this Saturday.
Yeah, man.
Khori.
Well, right. My thing is, there's time and place for everything. Our artists, they're very creative, and they've got a lot of time on their hands to put the thing together and present it. We're working on the place, zones of entertainment where the sound system can turn up loud, and you can send out all of the tunes that you just create through the positive vibration coming from the sister from London to continue to make that thing forward. As promoters, festival and producers too, we're looking at two things. The positive from this band is that we can have the younger generation meet the older generation on stage, the over 40s versus the under 40s on one stage, right? Yeah. That sort of thing to make the thing nice again. So if you consider that,
you're talking about Marco Diamond and the young boys.
No, but I'm gonna say. So think about think about a Skilly Bang meets a Bounty Killer on stage, right? And a Maca Diamond meeting, a Jada Kingdom or these kind of things. So I'm just looking at the creative element as it be positive, and let the radio, the airspace, be this zone of morale and great value, and we'll lift up Jamaica again, man. Oh gosh, man. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what I want to ask you to do, Sylbourne?
Then I say your last word.
Some t-shirts. We want to get some t-shirts out there. What did you say? What was the word that you used? I want to go, Sylbourne. Drop a molly. What? Drop a molly. song or something like that. So, you know, like some kind of t-shirt to give it out to the youth and so we can impact on the implementation of this ban. So the youth then can positive music, please. You know, you give it, going to school and get it, pick them some t-shirts so them can be wearing it. You know, so we're just doing, you know, this set of people here plus can organize such a campaign. Khori is here, this lady is here, David is peer campaigner, pastor. Can go in
what is Molly? What is Molly, Sylbourne?
It is a drug,
ecstasy.
A party drug.
It's a pill thing or a
It's a pill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pastor can go in the dance hall and school them and can go in the school and give out some of these clean music t-shirt and win some souls. You know, pastor can do it the next way. You know them way. There's different ways.
Well, I don't feel bad that I'm not the only person that don't know what Molly is, because Collette actually sort of helped me out there because people were saying I was living on a rock, and I said, well, at least my ignorance was displayed, and I know I'm less ignorant. So
or your age.
My age.
Pastor didn't know. Pastor knew, you know. Pastor knew.
Gary, you know.
Pastor was
David.
Going to dance.
You have to play.
You didn't know what was Molly.
You have to play the Black Cartel at your party. No, play the Bleach Out Cartel. Play the Black Cartel.
Gary, Reverend, for the benediction. What's your last word?
No, I leave the benediction for Lester, but I leave the benediction for Lester to do. But no, I'm in agreement with most of you. Really, I think that for the church needs to get, I think, a little bit more involved in reaching, because obviously there's a generation now that is quite evident that has not connected with the church scene at all. Yeah. That is quite evident.
That's another topic. They took the Bible out the school.
Exactly.
That's another topic.
So we now have to go to our own people.
Yes.
I mean, back 50, 60, 70 years ago, it was the grandparents that took the children or took the family to church.
Yes.
And nowadays, if we go into our children and say, you're going to Sunday school today, them just go and kiss their teeth and turn over and pull the cover over their heads. Whereas we never had that opportunity. So the church has to go in. I'm not saying again that I would go into every dance that Khori has or what Dave have or what Lester have. But,
well,
yes,
guys,
I do agree.
Pastor Lick, you know. Pastor Lick, when him say, I agree with most of you know. Me, Pastor, I agree with you know.
Well, listen, guys. I guess Saturday night on Talking Sick, we follow this through, and just to let you know, on the 28th, I'm supposed to have Tuscany Calvin, Miss Jamaica Universe, supposed to be as well. And David Chen gonna be on Talking Sick at some point from now. The big show there. Reverend Gary Graham will be here, and Khori Hyde is going to be on the internet as usual. Guys, I want to let you know, I'm only British because David was the one who took me to the Lewisham Town Hall when I swore allegiance to the late Queen. David took me there.
Yes, sir.
With my pregnant wife. So if anybody asks me who I'm in this country, it's him.
Put an official plug for you. Put up in flyer.
What's that?
Put up David's flyer. We could do an official. This is how radio should sound.
Yeah, go on.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget Paradise View brings to you a musical niceness challenge all. Look, you know what? It's all about calling the sky.
Hold on. Let me turn off the music. Mute everybody.
You ready?
Wait. I mute everybody. I mute myself. I mute you. I know I mute you. You need to talk. Hold on. Turn off the music. I'm gonna plug that one in. Okay. Khori.
Guess what? Ladies and gentlemen, Paradise View brings to you a musical niceness, calling all Scorpio. Saturday, November 12th, it's gotta be one of the hottest things in town. Shockwaves versus Soundwave, two super sounds. Special guest sound, I can't see it down there, but special guest sound. Admission only $500. Ladies, you free. You know the ladies getting free. You know the ants full of fat, right? Guess what? Don't forget Saturday, November 12th, calling all Scorpio. Sting them, sting them. Paradise View, David Genting. Not alone, you know.
Sorry, I was trying to get it back and I couldn't find it to get it back. Get everybody back.
Master, you're plugged on.
Khori, back.
All Christians, all Christians,
Gonzalo.
I should have my hat, man. I don't have my hat.
Catch your book.
You got one scandal over there.
Gary, I look for your book. Gary, find the Bible.
I can't find the book. I can't find the book.
What time it is?
Can't find nothing, boy.
Listen, right, that was good. That was good. I will have to cut that bit there and put it out. Viral business, David.
Yeah.
Cool, right?
Share it in the music news too, David.
I have to do that.
Yeah, man, definitely. How will you do? And some of your tracks so I can play it in the early session, all the gospel in the early session.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, have a good night, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Bless you, man. Take care.
Take care, Vanessa. Back to the night again. Bye, Collette. Cheers.
Respect.
Respect. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining. Those on Facebook, those on YouTube, and those on Instagram, thank you for tonight. And D Samuels, thank you, viewers. Michelle Clark, thank you as well. Troy Green, Reggae Rocket, Michelle Clark, hope you got all those things. Nyron Morris, and everyone out there, and those on Instagram as well, those on Facebook and those on Twitter. Saturday night again on Instagram. Talking Sip. Looking forward to see you there. I think we're gonna have to follow this one up. I was hoping to have got a couple other persons, but let's see, because this is a very important topic for the development of the nation. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Peace out. And we go, as we say, boom.